Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Absolutely Podcast, the podcast specifically designed to help women defeat diet culture and live their dream healthy lifestyle. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a masterclass on grocery shopping because one of the main things I hear from women is that they just have no idea what to do when they enter a grocery store. All just thoughts leave their head. They feel like they're paralyzed. They don't know what to buy for their goals, and it can just be a very stressful time. I have been in the grocery store before and been like, I don't remember my name. And that usually happens in Trader Joe's. I don't know. Something about Trader Joe's just gives me extra anxiety. But in general, I feel like I have conquered that grocery store anxiety and also have really perfected, I have to say, the art of shopping for my fitness goals, whether that's I'm in a calorie deficit or maintaining, and shopping and saving money. I save so much money from grocery shopping and not eating out. And I have really perfected the $100 or under $100 grocery shop for the entire week. And for some people, you might think, oh my gosh, that's like so much money. Some people might think, oh my gosh, you are freaking crushing it. So that's just how much I personally tend to spend weekly on groceries is between like $100 to $120, especially if I'm not buying any sort of like alcohol or things on top of it. So I stick on a budget and I also stick to my fitness goals at the same time. And I can go into the grocery store and out in like a record amount of time. My boyfriend actually complimented me on how fast I grocery shop, which like was kind of a slay for me because I am not a person that's indecisive in the grocery store. I know exactly what I need in order to buy food for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And then I'm out of there. I am not having any sort of fluff. I'm not putting extra things into my cart. And I feel like my strategy that I use has really aided in that goal of saving money and also eating for my goals. So I'm going to be talking about that. But first, I wanted to give a little life update and chat a little bit about myself. If you don't want to hear this, skip forward 5-10 minutes and you'll be into the grocery shopping part of things. But I know a lot of you like to kind of hear the weekly catch up. So today we're going to do a little weekly catch up together. And I have some fun things to chat about. So this was my first week back in the routine post Mexico and bachelorette party. I had a couple of weeks that were just a little bit chaotic and I was definitely out of my routine. So it felt so good to just like be truly in my routine this week. And it always shocks me just like how much my body responds to just getting back into my regular sleep, water, macros. I felt so good by the end of the week. I was like, wow, I feel like a butterfly just blooming out of its cocoon. Like I just felt so good. And so that was last week. It was also the first week of like true summer here. And I've now lived 2 summers in Arizona and it's really not as bad as everyone says. Like, yes, it's hot, but we make do with what we have. And one thing I always forget about is that it really slows down here during the summer. Like, there are not as many social things going on, there's not as many events. I feel like I'm in the house a lot more. The traffic's a lot slower, which is amazing. You don't need a reservation anywhere. It's honestly kind of a magical time. Like, it's a little bit of a ghost town, but in like the best way possible. So I was enjoying my first week of like summer here. My parents left and went back to Utah, so don't have them here anymore. So it was kind of nice to be a little bit of a homebody this past week. I probably will get sick of it, but I'm going to get cooking up to some fun things this summer, which I will talk about a little bit on this episode. Um, it's also my last week of being in a calorie deficit, so I'm excited about that. I definitely have to say I've not been extremely compliant. I feel like my mental capacity to deal with the calorie deficit at this point is kind of waning, and that's why I wanted to do it for 8 weeks, and now it's been like 9, 10. So it's time. I'm going to end it on Monday and start reverse dieting, and I'm very excited about that. Also, too, my body just like feels inflamed. I have my period this week, so that's fun, but I'm just going to start reverse dieting on Monday. That is the plan. This past weekend, I went to the pool one day. Me and my boyfriend went to the pool and did a little pool day. And I finished my first book of the year. Actually, that sounds bad. Second, third book of the year? I don't know. I haven't read that much this year. And one thing about me is I go through phases where I will read so many books and be absolutely a bookworm. I'm obsessed with it. And then sometimes I'll actually forget that books exist and I just won't read for months at a time. And I was kind of in that era for a while. Like I just wasn't really reading, wasn't really interested in it. I feel like I just wasn't getting into any books and it just wasn't fun for me. So I wasn't reading. And then I decided I needed to get back into reading because it's something that really helps me to go to bed at night. I feel like when I am on my phone and then I try to go to bed, like I literally just can't sleep. So it's really helpful for me to wind down by reading a book, turning off my phone, and then going to bed. So that is what my goal was. And I feel like once I started dating my boyfriend, I stopped reading as much. And that's not his fault. That's my fault that I didn't keep up with it. But I just felt like I just wasn't in the routine and I just wasn't feeling like it. Okay. So that's why. But anyways, I finished my second book of the year. I finished Fourth Wing, which who in their right mind decides I'm going to go from not reading any books to now reading like an 800-page book? Apparently that's me and my all or nothing mindset just peeking through. But Fourth Wing is, I think, like an 800-page book. It's a very long book. It is a commitment. It's pretty much like reading the Bible. Which I have done that as well. But it was a long book. It was really good though. I am not typically a fantasy girl. I like just the real world stuff and being able to relate to things. But I did read A Court of Thorn and Roses and I really liked that. I read the first, second, and then half of the third and kind of got a little burned out after half of the third. But I wanted to read Fourth Wing because I heard it was really good. And it was. I will say though, with any fantasy book, especially the first of any series, it's a slow burn. It is definitely a slow burn when it comes to building out all the towns and the creatures. Like you really have to like use your brain to think about like, okay, like what does this dragon look like? What does her equipment look like? What does this town look? And it is a lot. It's kind of a chore. It's a little bit of an admin in the back of your mind. But once you build everything in your brain and you build the characters and stuff, it's really great. I feel like every fantasy book is so funny in the way that it has all the same components. Like there's the forbidden love, there's the tale as old as time, there's a war of the ages. Like there's just always like these recurring themes in fantasy books. But it was great. I read it from front to back and I'm done. I'm not sure if I'm going to read the second one. If I should read the second one and you're listening to this and you've read the second one, please let me know and I might give a stab at it. But for now, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I am reading now Mad Honey. I think that's what it's called, by Jodi Picoult. Again, I don't know if that's her name. But yeah, that shows how much of a bookworm I am. But that's my second book I'm going to read during the summer. But now that it is summertime, I feel like I do have more time to read as well. And it's a great activity to go by the pool and read here in Arizona and go into the pool as well. So that's what I did Saturday. On Saturday night, we went to sushi and we decided to try a new sushi place. And one thing about me is that I am really good at finding new restaurants. So I went on Yelp and I was looking at places, and I'm a creature of habit when it comes to food for a couple of reasons. Like, I don't want to take the risk of going somewhere that sucks and I hate and I don't want to go back to. Okay. So when it comes especially to sushi, I'm very picky on sushi because I don't want there to be a ton of like fried stuff and sauces and whatever, not from the perspective of like the unhealthy part of things. Like, yes, that's part of it, but I just like a fresh fish place. Like, that's my favorite thing. So, anyways, I found this place and it looked really good. They had like 1,400 really good reviews. So I said, let's get going. Let's go on a little date night. And we went to the sushi place. And on our way there, Bobby goes, I hope this place isn't super ghetto. Like he was a little nervous that my choice was not going to be up to par. But we get there. It was definitely authentic, okay? It was a sushi restaurant. No one really spoke English. I tried to tell them I had a nut allergy. They didn't really understand what I was saying, which is okay. But we figured it out. It was actually really good. It just was definitely like a hole in the wall kind of vibe. And I did choke on one of the sushi rolls on accident because a piece of cucumber like went down my throat. And then I got the gig so bad I couldn't stop laughing. And you know when you get like start laughing so hard and then you actually can't stop? Like that happened to me the whole dinner. And Bobby was like, are you okay? Like I just kept just dying laughing because I choked on that. And then I just like couldn't stop laughing about it because it was really funny to me, apparently not to anyone else, but it was funny to me. And I had the gigs all night from that. But that was Saturday. Sunday, I went to church. I need to start going to church again. That was just something I have been out of town a few weeks and I just kind of got out of the routine of it. So I'm going to church this summer every Sunday that I'm here. I love going to church here. It's like literally the best. And I found a great church that I love going to. So I did that on Sunday. And I've been watching reality TV just so much. I feel like being at home and just having more time during the summer. It's just reality TV season. My favorite ones right now, Kardashians, just love. Obviously a staple. I started watching Perfect Match. Obsessed with it. It's so good. The next episode comes out on Friday, and it's just so funny to watch all these personalities like come together and like the worlds colliding. So basically, if you haven't watched Perfect Match, they have a bunch of different people from different reality shows on Netflix all come together. So it's kind of like a almost like Bachelor in Paradise kind of, but like they all just come together from different seasons, and it's really good. And just I just love reality TV. Okay, that is my guilty pleasure, and I'm okay with it. I am totally fine with it. But that has been my obsession. Bridgerton also dropped today, so I'm going to be watching Bridgerton and Perfect Match this weekend. And I just can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And then one thing I want to learn how to do this summer is make sourdough bread. And why do I feel like sourdough bread is just this mysterious hard thing to make? I'm like low-key nervous. Like, how do you like is this the starter's alive? Like, people name their starters. Like, what should I name my starter? I think I'm gonna name it like Vivi. I think that's a good name for my starter. But I ordered a starter from a girl that's a dehydrated starter, which who knew that existed? So I ordered this sourdough starter, and I'm going to reactivate it. I'm going to be sharing my journey on TikTok. I've been sharing a lot of my life on TikTok and having a lot of fun with that. So you're going to be seeing more of my starter Vivi on TikTok. And then I'm going to be making sourdough, and I'll probably fail at it a few times, but it'll be fun. Okay. So that is my life update for now. I think that's enough for this week's episode of Life of Abbie. And hopefully you all enjoy my life updates. I mean, I just like talking about them, so you don't really get an option. But now let's jump into the grocery shopping part of things. And I think this is a perfect time to talk about this because literally I have 2 more calls and then I'm going to the grocery store because I am out of food today. So we're going to be grocery shopping, and this is a good reminder even for me to go into the grocery store with these plans. So here is the exact strategy that I use to grocery shop for my goals and also save a ton of money while doing it. And I've been doing this for years. Honestly, grocery shopping has become something that I really enjoy doing rather than dread doing. And I used to completely dread grocery shopping. And now I actually like doing it because I have a strategy going into it. I'm saving money, and it's honestly just kind of a relaxing thing for me to do at this point, which is definitely a total 180 from where it was 6 years ago. When I was first starting my fitness journey, I would be so stressed out going into the grocery store because I just didn't know what foods to buy, like what was good, what was bad, what recipes I needed to make. And now I go into it and I'm totally solid and go into it very confidently. So my number one tip is to go into the grocery store with a plan. I personally like to write out breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the week, as well as snacks that I'm going to have. If you're not a person that can have the same meal every single day, I don't blame you. I'll typically have the same meal for like 2 or 3 days and then like kind of switch it up. But I will write out what I'm having for breakfast, what I'm having for lunch, what I'm having for dinner, and what I'm having for snacks, and all the ingredients that those take to make. So I will write all of those out, and then that's basically my store list. If you're someone that tracks macros, I like to tell my clients to take it the extra step and to write those meals and also log them into MyFitnessPal with the portions so you know how much food to buy and you're not just like overbuying or underbuying the food. Like for instance, when you go in and you need to buy flank steak for your meal, like I have to go and buy here in a second, I'm not going to buy 2 pounds of flank steak knowing I'm only going to be eating 4 ounces a night for 4 nights, right? So I would take it the extra step, and this will also save you money, save you calories, and help you save your macros for the day, is actually going into MyFitnessPal and coming up with that plan and pre-logging it. And then look at that. You already have your pre-log done for the week to hit your macros, and you have what you need to buy for your grocery shop. So it's a win-win situation. And how I build my meals is I build them around a protein, carb, fat, and fiber. So at the meals, I'm having one source of protein, one source of fat, one source of fiber, and a carb. And that just makes things really simple. I find that when my meals are too crazy, I will get a little bit lost and kind of stressed. Like the times that I go into the store and I need to buy for like a giant recipe that I found on Pinterest, those are a little bit more of like a stressful experience. And sometimes I will get kind of a random urge to create like a really complicated recipe, and that's fun from time to time, especially if that's something that you enjoy. But for me, on a week to week basis, I am keeping things simple as crap. Like I want to make sure that I am going to the grocery store and it is so simple and it's taken me the least amount of time possible. And also too, you're not accidentally risking having to go back to the grocery store multiple times throughout the week because it's a very simple grocery order, rather than having a grocery order with a billion items that you're bound to miss something. So I like to keep things simple: protein, carb, fat, and fiber. I like to bulk prep my proteins when I get home, so that way I don't need to cook them throughout the week. And that also ensures that you're going to eat the food. Like if you're meal prepping your food, nothing is going to waste. And anything that I am not eating for the week, I'm freezing in my freezer. So that saves me a ton of money as well, because I'm not like just buying a bunch of crap that is going to go bad. So I like to write out my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have actually like a meal sheet. If you want it, I can send it to you, basically where it is kind of like a worksheet where you can put in like your protein, carb, fat, and fiber. So if you want that, just DM me. But I think that that is really helpful, planning ahead. And then that way you're also hitting your macros for the week, which is really great. So my money saving hacks when it comes to grocery shopping is, number one, frozen items. I find that frozen items sometimes are like the same price, maybe for like the same amount. Sometimes they can be cheaper, especially if you buy things on sale. But what I find is that they just go bad less often, right? Whereas like if you get a big bag of veggies and they're just fresh in your fridge, like those are more likely to go bad, especially if you don't meal prep them. Whereas if you have like green beans that are just frozen in your freezer, like those aren't going to bad. So you're not going to waste as much food. So I really like buying frozen items for that aspect. And just having frozen items on hand is nice to have in general, because let's say you come home from your kids' soccer practice and you're like, wow, I don't have any meal prep, but I do have these frozen items in my fridge or my freezer that I can just throw together. Like I think it's super helpful, especially when you are in a pinch. And I like to buy my meat and freeze half of it. That is something that really saves a lot of money for me, is that I will probably not be eating 16 ounces of chicken in like a span of a few days. So what I will do is just freeze half of it. And then when I get to that second part of the week and I want fresh chicken, I will just pull that out of the freezer and defrost it. That way I'm not wasting any sort of meals. So I really love freezing things that I know I'm not going to eat the whole thing of. And especially when you're tracking your macros and you know how much you need to be eating day to day, you save so much money. I know I keep saying this, but it seriously saves you so much money because you actually have a plan of what you're going to eat and following through with it. So that way grocery shopping, it's not becoming a money pit for you. Also too, like buying less fitnessy marketed foods is going to save you a lot of money. If you go into the store and you're falling for every single thing that is saying like low carb, high protein, like those things are inherently marked up because it is like a fitness food. So I just try to really focus on buying mostly whole foods and less processed foods. And if you do that, you'll find you actually are spending less money. And I know you might be like, Abbie, that is not the case, but it truly is. Like buying a pound of potatoes is like $2 or something, way cheaper than if you bought some processed rice in the frozen section, right? So just do the things that you can do to buy whole foods. And yes, some processed things, you can find some good things that are bang for your buck. But if you are buying all protein shakes and all these things that are very like fitnessy marketed, those are more expensive. So you should expect your grocery bill to be more expensive, and that's totally fine. Like everyone can spend their money how they want, okay? This is America. Do whatever the heck you want. But if you want to save money, definitely buying more whole foods and less things that are more processed will save you a lot. Protein bars are expensive. Protein shakes are expensive. I like to buy mostly whole foods. That way it is less expensive and it's also better on your digestion. That's why I do it. I am willing to spend a little bit more money on my food because your food is literally how you are going to show up day to day and how you're going to look and feel and act and create in your life. And so I really like to invest in my food and buying organic and buying whole foods because that's something that affects every single part of my life. So that's something I invest in, and that's okay. Anyways, that's a whole different spiel there. Costco is also a big life hack. I have a Costco card and I love going there for a few things. I like buying eggs there, egg whites, frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, those are all really great at Costco, especially if you have a family and you're a mom that is cooking for a lot of people. Costco is a great place. I bought like a big thing of flank steak, and usually steak is kind of expensive at the grocery store. But at Costco, what I did was I chopped up the steak into little individual portions, and I calculated it because I wanted to do it for this episode. And each steak portion was like $1.50. So like so affordable when you are portioning it out and being smart with your food and freezing things strategically. I don't know when I became a homesteader and like figuring all this out, but I did at some point, and it is very helpful. Another small tip: don't go to the grocery store hungry. We've heard this a billion times, yet we don't follow this rule. Do not go hungry to the grocery store. You're going to pick up the bag of Doritos. You're going to pick up the Oreo cereal. You're going to leave the store and be like, what did I just buy? I was actually just in a blackout. I don't remember anything. I bought a ton of shit that I don't need. So go to the store when you have just had a meal. Please do that if there's one that you do. Also shopping the perimeters, that's also a basic one. That's where all the Whole Foods are. That's where you should be mostly. I am buying a couple of things from the inside that I need, like oats, maybe some cereal, maybe some like chips, because you know what? I'm a human too. I like to have my balance, 80-20 over here. But I am not spending most of my time shopping in the middle. I'm spending most of my time shopping the perimeter. And I will say, like, once you do this once or twice and it becomes a routine, it is so much easier. I find when I go to a new grocery store, I kind of need to like reset my brain. Like if I'm traveling and I go to a grocery store, it takes me a little bit longer. It's a little bit more stressful because I don't know where my items are. But if you're going to a similar grocery store every single week, that will make it so much easier because you'll know exactly where the items are. You have some meals that you kind of can repeat over the weeks. I definitely recommend having meals that stay similar. For me, my breakfast stays similar. My lunch stays pretty similar. My dinners will switch up. My dessert stays similar. So I'm buying pretty similar items week to week, except for maybe one meal. So I only really have to think about new things for that one meal. And then the rest of them, it's so routine. I'm just throwing those things in my cart, and it's so much easier. So make it a routine, put it in your calendar, have a day of the week that you go grocery shopping for the whole week. So that way you don't get to Tuesday or Wednesday and you realize, shoot, I still haven't gone grocery shopping and I've been door dashing every single day because I haven't just made the time to go grocery shopping. So put it in your calendar and make sure that you are sticking to that, because grocery shopping is going to set your entire week up for success. And, you know, have things on hand when you're in a pinch. Be prepared. If you need to buy food prep and things that are already like cooked and at the store, like buy those things, right? The grocery store should not be a scary place. It should be actually a place of empowerment and something that should be fun and relaxing to you. And when I find you go into it with a plan and you're strategic about it, it makes the grocery store so much better. And if you are like buying for kids and stuff, like put that as part of the plan, right? Have that in your list of what they're going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner as well. Shop for yourself, shop for them, make it a routine, and it will be so much easier for you. So hopefully you all picked up something from this episode and you all are going to go to the grocery store and just absolutely nail it this next week. But hopefully everyone enjoyed. Make sure to comment, like, follow all of the things on this podcast, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.